Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? We're going to be talking about Iso-8 formations on War Defense versus Cosmic Crucible versus Arena. And one of the big ones that we got to talk about today is the Unlimited XMen. They have some good variations. We're getting a lot of teams that come out these days where Scopely is intentionally making it so we have to put more than one ISO on it or change the ISO as the character evolves with red stars and power levels, right? If you have MLF, maybe you started her out as a skirmisher and you're switching her over to striker. You know, here's a good one with the Black Order. You've got Ebony Maw as a healer. We did that for Arena because it placed one more positive effect over Cull Obsidian's head, making him that much tougher to get through, which created a little bit more of an RNG, but otherwise doesn't really affect him, so it's not a good choice. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that as we go through these teams, but we grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. This is... whose defense is this? A Fallen 2. Sorry. A Fallen 2 sent in their picks. If you want your picks featured on Defense Up, just send me them direct in Discord. Just 3 screenshots, no cropping, no editing. Don't worry. I'll get you on the list. Okay. This is the Black Order. The Black Order's become an old team. They're not even a metric of what's decent anymore because a lot of things are just beating this team right out of the gates, completely overpowering it. The only problem I really have with this team is that healer is on Ebony Maw, and that serves absolutely no purpose. This team isn't used in Arena anymore, and there is no healing in Ebony Maw's kit. He has a health steal, which doesn't trigger the effects of the healer Iso-8. All you're doing is putting that positive effect over Cull Obsidian's head, and you don't need to do that anymore because there's other teams that just auto through the Black Order. So let's get that one changed. Striker Skirmisher combo on the married couple. You can put just about anything you want on Thanos. I like him as a raider or a striker. It doesn't matter. And then Cull Obsidian, I run mine as a striker also, but he's another one you can put a variety of things on also. So for me, this team is an A-. I'd like to see that ISO changed. Excuse me. All right. Team number 2 is the Young Avengers. This is fine. You've got healer on Squirrel Girl, which I'm liking more and more because we're using her as a healer in other places. And it's like, she could do some damage as a striker and get the triple hit combo, but healer is also very effective on Squirrel Girl, and you're using her as a healer elsewhere. So I would say save your ISOs, keep her as a healer if you're building this team. Striker on everybody, skirmisher on Ms. Marvel, that's fantastic. As Kate Bishop gets bigger, we're going to be wanting to change her to a skirmisher because the resistance checks on these characters are getting astronomical, and you need that focus boost as a skirmisher. It is going to be better than the double tap off of her moves. So I like what's going on here. America Chavez in the corner. I just noticed that. That's terrible. On War Defense, America Chavez gives 80% turn meter to adjacent characters. You do not want to be wasting 80% turn meter on nothing. So let's get a placement change. We could probably just change, let's do Echo. Let's do Echo and America Chavez swap places. That'll work. Honestly, there are cases to be made for however you want to make this team. Different counters are better at going into this team with different people sped up and all sorts of stuff. I like getting the evades from Echo faster. I like getting Kate Bishop to start blinding people faster. I seem to think that Squirrel Girl gets ability block no matter how fast she goes, and doesn't really matter if you get her sped up or not. So those are my choices. I'm going to go with a C+ on this team. That America Chavez placement is absolutely devastating, and I think that you're going to want to be bringing her around to a skirmisher in the future. Team number 3 is the Unlimited XMen. Now, we talked about this team before doing the video in chat. If you guys want to be a part of those conversations, you can find me live on Twitch, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to noon Central Time. We like Sunfire as a raider rather than a striker. The striker Iso-8 does do a lot more damage on his basic because it's like 224% piercing damage, which is pretty big. and it adds 1 bleed, but we also like him as a raider because of the crit damage. Now, Gambit gives this team some crit effects, and that little bit of boost is pretty nice, so making him a raider, he's going to crit more often with that ISO, and when he does crit, it's going to be devastating. His ultimate pops off a lot in a match because he opens with the ultimate, then his special gives him 5 energy to come back around to that ultimate pretty quickly, so usually if he takes 4 turns, he's popping that baby twice. And that's a huge AoE with lots of damage, and if he crits on it, it is massive. So we like him as a raider. Striker is okay. This is a new team, and we're still feeling it out, and everybody's kind of making their choices of what they want to happen. I like raider on Dazzler. I like raider on Bishop 100% of the time. I like raider on Phantom X. I was thinking you should make him a fortifier. Chat corrected me on that. Apparently, he is like Groot. You want him to die, which is some of the dumbest hit mechanics ever. I don't like that, but whatever. You don't want to make him a fortifier. You want him to die. It's just ridiculous. And then Rogue. Rogue should be a striker, but again, you may need to make her a skirmisher for focus boost, especially in arena where she needs to be landing those negative effects. She needs to be landing that ability block. She needs to be landing the stun, because if you miss those, you don't get to make the top 10 in your arena. So make sure that your rogue is big enough to land those effects. If she's not, go skirmisher. In war defense, I think it should be striker. Her basic is badass and she does a lot of damage. So for me, this is looking pretty good. I'm not sure I like Rogue here to the outside, but I mean, Phantom X is over here and he's gonna die, and then she will be on the outside, so that's a thing. Gambit and Rogue going under 50% does some stuff for you too, so maybe that's a good placement. Again, this team is new to us on war defense, so we're learning what works best. As the information comes in, as you guys leave comments down below and help me figure this stuff out, I'll be sure to bring it back to you. So for now, the way it is, I'm gonna go A- on this team. I'd like to see Sunfire as a raider. Striker isn't a terrible choice. All right, moving on to team number 4 is the Wakandans. Okay, healer on Shuri is fantastic. For raids, you might want to make her a fortifier, but I don't think we're really using her that much. That Bionic Avengers is totally taking over the tech lanes. Let's see. Okoye is a skirmisher 100% of the time. Black Panther striker. Yep, raider on Killmonger. I like that. He's native to raider with all the crit stuff in his ISO. And then M'Baku as a fortifier. Now, M'Baku is pretty tough on his own, but the thing is if you make him a striker, he's going to be doing a triple tap with Okoye and doing some pretty good damage. His basic is pretty decent. I like him better as a striker. I think he's kind of wasted as a fortifier. Maybe when the day comes when we can be throwing on 2.5 level fortifier, we'll be putting it on M'Baku, but right now I think he should be a striker. Team placement is pretty good. I think maybe we could move, we could swap places with Shuri and Black Panther and get him out of the middle. Shuri's going to be able to take more damage at that higher gear level. She has really good health since her last rework. Yeah, so I think there's some things we could do to tweak this team and make it better. I'm going to give you a B+ for that. Let's definitely make that ISO change on M'Baku. That's going to help things out. Team number 5 is a Doom Brotherhood with Sinister in here. Blob's going to start off with a taunt because of Toad. If any of the Brotherhood members drop below 50%, I believe, he gets a taunt again. You've got him as a fortifier. That's only okay because he's so squishy relative to the rest of the team. If you could build him up and keep him on par with the rest of the team, I would say go skirmisher because he counterattacks. He's going to be counterattacking quite a bit. He's got 2 Brotherhood members. That's like 50% of the time. Sinister as a healer is great. Raider there is okay. You might think about changing him to a skirmisher. Again, that's because the focus versus resistance. He's an older toon. He needs a little touch up. Raider's okay. Magneto does have some stuff in his kit that helps to bring up his focus level, and so it may not be such an issue. Striker on Doom is all right. Personally, on defense, I like Doom to be a raider for the explosive crit damage on his big kaboom move. I think that you have 2 people putting out vulnerables and Doom to double tap into them. That'll probably work. I think that's actually okay. But I still think that Doom as a raider on defense is probably the standard position we should put him in. Kind of like Surfer or even Kestrel. They're better as raider on defense because of the crit damage rather than the striker, because you're not picking the target, you're not picking the vulnerable for them to go into. But I'm not going to dock you for it because you do have plenty of vulnerables coming out on the field. If you had him as a skirmisher, I'd be even less hesitant about that striker ISO because you'd have tons of vulnerables on the field. I think you should touch up the power levels on these two. I think it's a pretty decent team. It's not fooling anybody. Maybe Sinister is causing some other things to happen. I don't know. He is so incredibly slow that a lot of times he's just not even cloning anybody. I think there's better things to be done with this team, but you're using the pieces pretty well. I'm going to give you a B for this team. It doesn't really excite me, and I would like some ISO tweaks. Team number 6 is the Web Warriors. Yeah, that's fine. You could change Spoderman to a skirmisher. I'm running Scarlet as a healer to this day, and I'm loving it. It's working out well for me in those bio raids. Everybody says that's a dumb idea, but it just works for me. I don't know what to say. I haven't tried Raider myself. I see other people making Raider work. But if it ain't broken, I ain't fixing it. So those are some alternative choices, but honestly, this is fine. I like the team makeup and where you got them placed and everything. Looks pretty good to me. I can give you an A for that team. Team number 7 is the Heroes for Hire. We have Skirmisher, Striker, Raider, Fortifier, and Skirmisher. That looks great. I like the power levels. The placement is pretty darn good. People argue that the placement on this team also, so I don't even care to get into it anymore. So long as your taunting tank is not in the corner, as long as Luke's not in the corner, then I think you're doing just fine. A for that team. Moving on. Team number 8. This is a big fat waste. This is a big fat waste of your new warriors. I'm going to come into this team with the Eternals, Emma, and Loki, and I'm going to blow it up. And your team isn't even going to take a turn, and you will have lost your Eternals and your new warriors. Instead of doing this and wasting your America Chavez on your young Avengers, since she's in the corner anyway, take her off of that team, put her on this team in place of either Cloak or Dagger, probably Dagger. Speed up your Eternals, replace Cloak with Loki. Now you've got this ultra super fast team that people have to deal with, right? And then you can build an entirely new team out of the new Warriors. I don't like this one bit because it's basically calling in the Eternals anyways, and the new Warriors are going to die before they do anything. So, yeah, break this team up for sure. Striker Skirmisher combo on the new Warriors is fine. Healer on Emma's fine. Striker Skirmisher on the Eternals, that's good too. So I don't mind the ISOs. I think you should go ahead and bring Cersei up to 2.3. Yeah, because you're using them as a pair everywhere, and you went all in on Icarus there. You went all in on him, so you might as well go all in on Cersei too. But get these two out of here. I don't like that. I think that's a terrible waste of the team. I'm going to give you an F for that. I think it's a total fail. Team number 9 is the Infinity Watch. Yeah, let's change Moondragon over to a healer. Again, she was a striker because of the arena meta, and you needed her to double tap on somebody who had just had Death Proof removed to clear them off of the field. We don't need that anymore. She doesn't do that much damage. She does a better job as a healer, so I think changing her to a healer would be a good idea. Placement, ISOs, everything else is fine on this team. Works for me. The only thing that really bothers me is that it's on defense in the first place. This is the big hammer in your roster now. You can use this to smash a lot of stuff. So I'm going to give this an A-. It's not really detrimental that you change that ISO if you want to save your ions and stuff, but I think that you should change it and then put this team on offense, basically. All right, team number 10, our final team, is the Darkhold team. Now, Scarlet Witch, yeah, she's cool, whatever. A lot of people like to use the 5-piece team. I prefer putting Emma in on this team because then it forces them to do things a little bit different. You always want to be forcing your opponent to have to do things they don't want to do, use up compositions they don't want to use, okay? You used Emma in that other team, so that's already your speed team, but that got blown up and wasted. So now you've got this team. Somebody can come into this with their Darkhold plus Emma, control the match, and blow it up. So I personally don't like using the 5-piece. A lot of people like it, so I'm not going to dock you for it, but I don't really like it. I don't really know where else you're going to use Scarlet Witch other than her prolonging negative effects factor can be used with like a new warrior team or something. So hey, maybe if you break up that new warrior team, you could use Scarlet Witch over there and bring Emma over here or something. Those are some options for you. As far as your ISOs go, that's fine. When you get one more star on MLF, oh, you already have her as a striker. Okay, that's fine. If you're having trouble in arena with MLF, you might have her as a skirmisher to give her that focus boost, but you are really close to having her big enough that you don't need it anymore. So striker's great. I think you're ahead of the curve there. Wong is a striker's great. You have, okay, so you have some unusual placement here. Agatha calls 1 assist on war defense. She calls 2 assists on arena defense. So in arena, she's calling both of these, and that's great. But here on war defense, you want to probably put her to the outside and then have her, well, adjacent to MLF because you made MLF a striker. If you had MLF as a skirmisher, I would say put her adjacent to Wong so that she's always calling Wong and removing the negative effects. This is okay. Maybe you're trying to mix it up and putting in that RNG factor so that sometimes it clears negative effects and sometimes it just does massive damage and heals MLF. It's okay. You can do that if you want. Just be aware of what's happening with the placement on this team. Okay. I think there are some alternative choices with this team, but nothing has been done that's detrimental. I'm going to go ahead and give you an A for this. I'm not sure that it's my preference, but I can't really say that this is absolutely wrong. It's just different from what I like to do. All right, this has been Defense Up. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, would you? No, really, go ahead, hit the like button. I'm waiting. All right, remember guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll see you next time. Bye.